Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast, brought to you by Join Cycling for the Tour de France and Tour de France Femme avec Zwift route reveals. There'll be one podcast, 2 different YouTube videos. And yeah, the Tour de France reveal today in Paris. Usually it's on a Friday, but all the dates are changing. And last year it's normally on a Thursday or Friday. It's even a later Tour de France next year. It starts on the 5th of July. We've had June starts in France and doesn't leave it this time. So we've got a hexagonal 100% is what the press kit says for this route reveal, starting in the north of France, which we already knew because they announced the Grand Départ. Where's the Grand Départ next year? In 26, Benji.
Barcelona, right? I'm pretty sure it's in Barcelona, but the Lille start is actually quite a big difference from the year before, because I swear last year on the podcast, in our route reaction for the Tour de France 2024, we had a map in front of us and the entire north of the country was avoided. And this year, we've got an entire first week that spends its time in that northern part of France. So they definitely made up for the lack of northern France stages this year around, that's for sure. But also next to that Grand Départ, I also feel like it's a gradual flow through France, because in week 1, we start off with a gradual move towards Bretagne from Lille with multiple puncheur stages, but also sprint stages. And then in week 2, we hop over to that Massif Central, where last year we had Puy-Marie, which, let's be honest about it, I love that stage. And Massif Central always gives us these medium mountain stages that I tend to enjoy before we eventually head to the Pyrenees at the end of week 2. But then when it comes to week 3, we head from the Pyrenees towards the Alps over the likes of Mont Ventoux and so forth. And of course, this year, the Tour de France does finish on the Champs-Élysées, which was not the case in 2024. And when you look at those 3 weeks and you compare that to the Tour de France of 2024, for example, like the first week's pretty obvious, right? The Bretagne being present.
Yeah, the first week it's both sprint heavy and not. I would say this overall route is less sprint heavy than this year. There's no gravel stage, 2 time trials. The first week, it's a punchy stage, and that's what you get in the north of France. You get wind, narrow roads, wonderful one on the Mur de Bretagne in 2021. Maybe they're trying to entice him back, but that's also the area where there was the huge crash of Roglic and Haig and co on stage 3 when Merlier won. And so you can have guys ending their tour before they head south. So it really is a hexagonal, like they're calling it, or not really, actually. It's actually very different because, it's the north gets what? Including Paris, let's say, but not really. The north gets 8 stages. The center gets 2. And I feel like the center of France got a lot of stages in previous years. The Pyrenees gets a good, Po always has a start or finish, so the Pyrenees gets a good go. And we don't have an Alsace stage again. So there have been the Planche de Belfi and what was stage 20 in 2023? Can't remember. The one that Pogacar won, where Felix Gall was good. They've not really got one of those serious stages this year. So it's, and even there's not really many Alps stages. Actually, there's 2, but like Mont Ventoux is what, Mercantour Alps, near north of Montpellier. So
correct.
It's in zones, I would say. It's not actually a Tour of France. It's in zones, north and then Pyrenees, Alps.
We're talking about the Tour of France. I was looking through like old maps of the Tour de France back in the day. And I swear I was looking at like the 1920s or whatever. And I saw like a map of France. And the Tour de France was actually like going around the borders of France. The entire country around. Those were the old days. So I actually prefer this version of the Tour de France myself, if I have to be honest. But also, when it comes to my first impressions, I like the return of puncheur stages, because last year that wasn't really the case, and now we've got multiple ones. We'll dive into them in a little bit. Also, I said it already, that Massif Central stage, I'm starting to like the Massif Central, and Prudhomme clearly does as well, or Gouvenu, whoever helps make up the parcours of this race. But also, you've heard the name Mont Ventoux. We'll hear another few climbs like that, like Otakam back. We've got, if I recall correctly, also Tourmalet in a stage. We've got La Plagne, which returns, known as the Marc Padun climb, but I think it's been in the Tour de France like 30 years ago or something, so it's been a while since that climb was in the Tour de France, so that one is back as well. So I like that idea. But before we go into like stage by stage analysis and race rumors and so forth, can we just make something clear? You've got Pogacar, you've got Jonas Vingegaard, and you could argue you've also got Remco Evenepoel and Roglic. But between the top two, Pogacar and Vingegaard, in 2023 and so forth, there was a bit of a difference between the two in the types of climbs they were good at, or the types of time trials that they might be good at. And you had like two GC riders with a slightly different profile. But after the 2024 Tour de France, I can't deny that I've got this feeling of, isn't Pogacar just the best on any terrain right now?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was also thinking, because I was like, and maybe that's why for this route reveal I was less interested to see it, and because I even thought back to Froome and Quintana as well, where you'd be like, all right, Quintana would be looking for low time trial kilometers, and if there is a TT, making sure it's absolutely not flat. He's looking for long, high altitude climbs. Here with Pogacar this year, you're like, well, now that is true and it's not true. So like, I would say there's more. You're looking, if you're thinking of Vingegaard, Benji, you're thinking of absences of a negative. So a descent finish of Ventoux is a negative for Vingegaard. It doesn't mean he will win the race in another stage, but it's like, we already saw a descent finish of Ventoux was a negative for Vingegaard in 2021. It cost him 40 seconds. So, the descents cost him a shitload of time this year. So it's more, there is some stuff, but you're right. It's like, where was Pogacar weak? I guess a massive central stage. Hard, massive central stage.
Yes, but also if you then look at 2023, those were the kind of stage where you would expect Pogacar to beat Vingegaard in the past, before 2024, no? Those kind of stage of like 20-25 minute climbing performances?
I more mean like 10-minute, like the really steep.
Like this massive central,
like Marie Blanc and and Puy Marie sort of stuff. So, but you're right, and again, absence of a negative. Jebel Hafit, that sort of stage, which we have actually we do have a Unipuerto, a pure Unipuerto in this. There's just Vingegaard has zero history of putting Pogacar under pressure on those stages. So, and Pogacar has all the history of winning those stages. So, there is stuff to talk about in that aspect. I would like to also talk about the pageantry first, Benji. Did you watch the full route reveal?
Pageantry?
Yeah, the pageantry. I didn't go.
What is that?
It's the first time I haven't gone in 3 years.
What's a pageantry?
Like the ceremony, the festival, the.
Who cares, dude?
What do you mean? I think it's nice that cycling has a big event and it's like full of lights and
Yeah, but sorry, big event. Can we talk about the fact that Mark Cavendish was the big name here?
That's why I brought it up.
In previous years, he was always there, but he was never the big name. But now nobody wanted to come, so he's suddenly the big name because he was like the 10th name on the list. So
he's literally retired. Wow. He's not doing the race next year. No, that's what I mean. Like, and I know ASO has the Singapore criterium, the Saitama criterium, and so they obviously got the big names, going to their event there. I think I went to lunch with Ben O'Connor today. He's flying out in the next couple of days, so it's a lot of travel to go Paris, then go to Singapore, and I think Roglic might be doing it. But they got to figure out a way to get, because no Vingegaard, no Remco, no Wout van Aert, no Van der Poel, no Pogacar, no Roglic. They're missing the big six. Not one of the big six turned up to the route reveal, and Demi didn't come. Kopecky didn't come. So I don't know. I think Mihai tweeted it, but if ASO, they probably should try and get some of their stars to turn up to the route reveal.
I think so as well. But
maybe it's because maybe if they have to choose between them going to the Singapore criterium or this, they'd rather they go to the Singapore criterium.
But also, I've been to this before, and you've been to this before. I don't know, but I gotta say, in hindsight, it wasn't worth the trip.
No, I like going. I really like going. If I wasn't going back to Australia soon, I would have gone like normal.
Okay.
Well, you go to the event. It's in the morning. You go get a French bistro lunch. Discuss the route afterwards. I like it.
Yeah, but anyway, if I go to the Tour de France presentation, I don't have the stature at ASO where they're going to be paying for my flights. So I'm going to have to be paying for my own train or flight to Paris. And at that point, I might as well go on a holiday for 1 day to Paris on a different date.
Well, I usually make it a holiday.
Fair.
I usually make it because it's nice for me to go to like a real city. Okay, so anyway, that's the there wasn't really any
Histel.
drama of today. Histel, the big city of the north, indeed. So what else? How else do we normally do this, Benji? Who do we?
Well,
Was there anyone first reactions of, because whether there was a lot of rumors? I think the rumors regarding the mountaintop finishes were all pretty much correct, more or less. But I saw a lot of rumors saying 9 to 11 sprint stages, and I don't see 11 sprint stages or near to pure sprint stages here at all.
Exactly, that is true. You don't have those 9 to 11 sprints there, but also I was a bit on the fence of those. I wasn't sure whether those would be breakaway stages, sprint stage, or like small hill stage or puncher stage. There's a few puncher stages now instead of those, but I also have a feeling, we'll go into this later once we've actually gone through the parkour, but that there's still like 3 sprint stages on a weekend day, etc., a breakaway stage or something on one of the weekend days, and in my head that does not make sense, because in the weekend, a lot of people have more time to watch television, no?
They do, yeah, the weekend stages are bigger, and there were a lot of sprints this year, maybe you'd say too many sprints, but then again, the sprints were almost some of the most interesting stages, at least they're the most competitive in the last 5 kilometers, but absent Cavendish, I can see why if there's going to be a sprint, I think they'd rather it's Van der Poel and Van Aert contesting the sprint than Philipsen and Tim Merlier.
Also, spoilers, sprinters will come to this race regardless.
Yeah.
Because it starts with a sprint, spoilers. Which means that, well,
yellow jersey.
you'd argue, yellow jersey is at stake for a potential sprinter on stage 1. But we'll get into that in a little bit. We'll start off with the fact that usually we talk about which riders will go to this race. I think it's fairly obvious for the main guys like Pogacar, Vingegaard. I'd expect them to go to the Tour de France.
Yeah.
I don't know whether they're all confirmed, but I think Pogacar said he was going to the Tour de France.
They're going to do the Tour. Let's not pretend otherwise.
Yeah. But Remco Evenepoel, I expect to do the Tour de France once again. Then Van der Poel is the only one where he stated that he might consider doing La Vuelta with mountain bike or something. I think that was an article by AS, Spanish newspaper. And well, maybe after looking at the first week we're about to go into, he might reconsider, because there's like 4 stages that might fit in. But if we look at the sprint stage, if we look at a puncher stage and we see Muur de Bretagne, we see a puncher stage that has like 700 meters at 8%, then 900 meters at 8%, and then a slightly uphill sprint at the end, that kind of stuff. Like those kind of vibes. Are we underrating the fact that Pogacar can also compete in those stages?
I'm going to say something that people are going to be like, you're ridiculous. How can you say that? The only aspect of what Pogacar did not improve on this year to the same degree as everything else was like a 1K 6% finish. To me,
Ridiculous.
It looks...
How can you say that?
To me, it looks kind of the same. I mean, he didn't drop Narvaez on the short climb. And I'm also I'm not talking a 1K 6% climb in a 270k race, which I mean after a relatively easy 170k stage, which is completely different. There, I think it is possible that then when it levels out, he can still be beaten by Van der Poel.
I also want to mention Thibaut Nys, because we've had in Belgium quite a few conversations of Thibaut Nys wants to go to his first Grand Tour next year and would love to ride the Tour de France. And people are bringing up the puncher stages. When I think about Muur de Bretagne, I agree. Thibaut Nys might be competitive on a finish like that. But don't the other puncher stages that we haven't gone into yet, but will soon, don't those require a lot of positioning, which Thibaut Nys has shown to not be great at yet?
Yeah, like he's competing against, Coop Repsol University students on a highway to position before a 1K 6% climb, like in the Tour of Norway. And then in the classics, it's a bit different. And then in the Tour de France Stage 2, it's a whole different ball game on the roads of the northern France. It's carnage. Like it's They are like, I know people didn't like it in the Netflix series when Lefebvre said they're trying to kill each other, but like,
Yeah.
no one's going to give you the wheel. And when it's narrow roads in the north, it is crazy. So they've also got Milan and Pedersen.
Yeah.
Pedersen's not a pannenkoeken. Is that what they call them?
Rough one. Pannenkoek.
Milan, neither. Milan can get over a 1K 6% climb and then sprint.
But how do you choose? Because Milan's the best sprinter, easily. But will Pedersen be willing to lead out Milan and give up his green jersey points? They're going to be cannibalizing from each other if you both send them to the Tour de France, because Pedersen will then want to go for the puncher stages.
And I also see the problem that the stages where they're like, Mads will get to contest that one.
Yeah.
Milan will make the finish half the time.
Yeah.
So, and then I think that's a really tricky combination. Actually, if I was them, I would split them across the 3 Grand Tours, but because then they can actually have a sprinter at the Vuelta, which they didn't have this year. I think they'll probably send Nash to the Vuelta because the Vuelta is where the young guys should be sent. I actually think that's flawed logic. I think that's flawed because the Giro is the easiest Grand Tour by far. But anyway, before we get to the stage-by-stage analysis, a word on our show partner, Join Cycling. Winter is here, or at least the 1st of November is just around the corner, and Jonas Vingegaard said there was an article saying he's fully back into training. So if he's back into training after no off-season, that means all of you, if you are wanting to get fitter on the bike, no better time to start than now. And I've got the Lanterne Rouge plan, which I've nearly finished. And then I'm going to, once that's wrapped up, I'll be back in Australia where Zone 2 is actually feasible. And then I'll be probably going back to like a stamina builder 3-month in the lead up to the corkscrew. Well, actually, I looked at the TDU route, Benji. No corkscrew. Oh, no. It's a very hard route. They do knots. I was fully looking on in detail. They do like Burdette's Road or Blockers Road up to Knots Hill. Really steep. It's like parallel to corkscrew. Narrow road. Europe thinks it's got narrow roads. Actually, I mean, the Europeans basically came to Adelaide as well as the vineyards there. A lot of Germans and Italians. Yeah?
Sir, did you see the title of this video? It says Tour de France route reaction. Not Santos to an under route reaction. You're bringing your Australian bias into this. I won't accept this. I'm sorry.
I'll use the joinery to do a segue into a TDU route analysis. Shameless. But yeah, I'm gonna have to do some VO2 max training to prepare for that. It's like a 2K 9% climb, or maybe 2K 8% with some steep kickers, some ramp bass in there as well as Wollonga. So need to prepare for that. Really looking forward to it. And you got to start. The longer you start, that's what Join's data shows. The more time you give yourself, but 10 weeks is more than enough. The better results you can get for that Grand Fondo, or just wanting to be fitter on the group ride with your friends. So go and check out Join Cycling down below. If you're already training, to me, it's a no-brainer to train a bit smarter with some guidelines that adapt to you for an extremely affordable price. All right, Benji, kick us off on stage uno. Yes,
sir. We're going to start off with stage uno of this. It's actually étape 1, right? We won't start in... is that Spanish? I'm guessing that's Spanish.
Yeah.
Anyway, stage 1, Lille Métropole to Lille Métropole. Basically a stage that starts and finishes in Lille and is known to be a stage that goes through urban and industrial areas in Lille, basically, is what the Tour de France description told me. But apparently, this will be a mass sprint. And a mass sprint shouts for a yellow jersey for a potential sprinter. So despite there maybe not being 9 to 11 sprint stages, I reckon quite a few sprinters will try to get the yellow jersey on the first day of the Tour de France. But a sprint stage at the start also means that there's no major differences in GC after day 1, which means that the yellow jersey might be up for grabs again on stage 2, right?
Exactly. So Jasper Philipsen's already said he's eyeing off stage 1. I don't blame him. Quick step Benji.
Yeah. Yes.
Tim Merlier, come on.
Yeah, of course. He should have gone this year. I'm sorry. Yes.
So, yep.
Remco Evenepoel, 3rd this year in the Tour de France. Sorry, but Yves Lampaert and Casper Pedersen one of those two could have been Tim Merlier. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I even think Tim Merlier could have done a better job than Yves Lampard in the crosswinds, honestly.
For sure. And the gravel stage.
Yeah, Tim Merlier, not a panacook either. So, that's my new favorite word.
You've used your quota.
You used my quota. Indeed. And this, I want to throw another team in there, Benji. Red Bull Bora Hansgrohe. Now, UAE will not bring any sprinter. They go Pogacar. Visma will probably have someone fast, either Laporte, Van Aert, Axel Zanglet, the bidon carrier for Van Aert, Olav Koy, of course. So they have options to bring to sprint. Red Bull, do they bring Pithy? Because he can do the uphill kickers, or they go Mayus for the flat sprints?
I wouldn't expect Mayus to be here. I would expect a team that is built around Roglic with a potential guy that might have a bit of a fast sprint, but I think their Tour de France team will be focused on GC. Unless Welsford really steps up, because this year he started great with Santos Fernando, had a perfect lead out in there, but let's be honest, for the rest of the year, it didn't really work out at the top step all the time. And now I'm waiting for that step up from those Santos Fernando level sprints to being able to compete at a UAE Tour sprint, or if we take a look at a Grand Tour sprint on that level, you know? So I'm waiting for you, Sammy. Show it to me.
Stage 2, 210 kilometers long stage from Le Vin-Planck to Boulogne-sur-Mer, which, as the name indicates, it's Boulogne on the sea. This is near Calais. This is very, very reminiscent of the stage Van Aert won in 2022 when he went away on the punchy hills and Jasper Philipsen won the sprint behind and thought he won the stage. So this is, except the difference is this finishes uphill. So we have rolling hills all day and then steep climbs. So with 30 kilometers to go, there's the Côte du Haut-Pichot, which is 1K 10%. That's steeper than what I remember in the Calais stage. And then I looked at this stage already. They then turn right onto the coast the same way that stage did. So there can be wind here. And then there's 2 steep climbs, 900 meters, 11% with 9.5Ks to go, which again, that's one climb, and then straight in, descent, and then another kicker, 800 meters, 8%. The fight into that climb, which is also a dead right-hand turn, or dead 90-degree turn, is going to be absolutely fucking crazy. So the first climb position is going to be so important. That second climb crests 5.5 Ks from the finish, and that finish is like a 1K 4% uphill kicker, I think. So we got Binny. This is where Milan can get over that, but Pedersen also is good on these sprints. Van Aert, Pogacar, is he going to attack? This is a very, very interesting final 40 kilometers.
I think so as well. And if you look at that Col de Saint-Étienne-au-Mont, the second last proper climb in this, is that the one where you said that before this climb there could be potential wind in the run into this?
Yes.
This specific climb, does that have a 90-degree corner in to the start?
Both climbs.
So that's kind of how Calais was bred in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Because the whole logic behind that strategy is that you line it up before the climb, and then you bloody hammer it from the bottom, and you're in line already going into that right turn or left turn, that 90-degree turn, which means that it's even harder to move up for anyone that's already P35, P40, P50. So if you're then on the climb, differences can be made. So that's super intriguing. Also the fact that it's not done after those climbs. You still have the run in towards the next hill, and then the run in towards the final with 2 kilometers of flat in between. I'm really liking this stage. And the only worry I have is that we're nearing Bretagne, which means that when I hear nearing Bretagne, I hear chaos in positioning. No?
Yeah, everyone's just thinking there's going to be a shit fight for all these stages.
Yeah.
So, which is exciting for us. It also, when I'm thinking of variance, Benji, high variance chaos and bad luck is worse for Pogacar because he's the favorite. So he just wants a clean run of the week one. But then again, who UAE hired? I think Florian Vermeersch might make the Tour de France team. If you look at if the goal is to keep Poggy safe and then he'll do the business in the mountains, don't you bring Vermeersch? Because he's This is his terrain?
Yeah. I don't know yet. I haven't concluded my analysis on the team yet towards the Tour de France and a new season. So
but
I'm gonna
teams
have
will
to
be
dive
really
into
thinking
that.
about it. Teams will be really thinking about this week
Yeah.
one and protecting their leader.
Especially when you then think about stage 3 Valenciennes to Dunkerque. On paper, that's a nailed-on sprint stage, but it's also near the coast again. So is there a potential echelon possible during that terrain? Do you need an extra ruler to keep someone safe? Because yes, Pogacar was alone after the echelons in the Tour de France 2024. Does he want an extra teammate to potentially be there afterwards? Or yes, the large chaos and variance, but would you consider an extra mountain domestique in the mountains in week 2.5 to 3 worth more than potentially losing some time in one of these stages?
And that's why you want your guys that can do it all. That's why you want like the all-terrain vehicles, because then they can do one spot. So it's going to be a tricky, because like you say, there's some pretty serious mountain stages. So if you bring a very, very lightweight climber, you basically got like they can't do anything in the run into these sprint stages when it really, really matters. Sorry, did you do stage 3 already?
Yes, I did. We're going to stage 4, and it's your turn, my friend.
From Amiens Metropole to Rouen, I am going off the LFR rumored profiles, but we do have the finish of the stage. So this is another hilly stage for the Biniams, the Pedersens, the Van Aerts, the Van der Poels even. And to be honest, let's not count out Jasper Philipsen. It's not like he's a panicoker. And so...
for fuck's sake, stop saying the word!
The last 21 Ks we have a profile from ASO, which is handy, and so at 20 Ks to go we have a 1 kilometer 7% punch, a descent straight into another 2K 5% punch, little plateau, another descent, 3 Ks on the flat, and then a kilometer with a 15% pinch on the ramp Saint-Hilaire, which is 1K 10%, not pretty difficult, and crucially also a 2K flat section on top, another descent, and then the final is 500 meters at 5% before it levels off. Last 300 is flat. So when you say Pogacar, Benji, I agree, like very, very good, particularly probably stage 2, but it is difficult for him to win this sprint on stage 4 because the last 300 is flat. Knock on wood, but he's not going to drop Van der Poel off the wheel on 500 meters, 5%. And so, to me, this still is the Pedersens, the Binnies, the Van Aerts of the world.
Yes, but I'm also just eager to say much of Van der Poel because of the climb that's over 900 meters at 10.6%. That's pretty damn steep. So it's all about, can Van der Poel put a distance into some other people there? Because if that climb really goes up to 15%, that's bloody well steep, and weight matters on a climb like that. But I also don't necessarily see Pogacar as the favorite for this stage. So I agree with you in that regard. That's for sure. And we've spoken about this Tour de France for 4 stages now, and 2 of the 4 stages are sprint stages, 2 of the 4 are puncher stages. Do you like the return of puncher stages?
I do, actually. I do think we've been missing puncher stages. Like last year, you can Saint-Luc, that's not a puncher stage. It ended up being a breakaway, but it's so steep. It's really the climbers, and that's what we saw. Like, I'm not sure Prime Alaphilippe even could have gone with Poggi and Yoda. So I really like the puncher stages. Whether they're trying to give something to Romain Gregoire, Kevin Vauquelin, Alaphilippe even, is Tudor going to get an invite? I don't know. But I do like... But to be honest, the puncher stages, I just see going to the versatile sprinters. They're that good.
Yep, I think so too. Well, I guess we'll see, but stage 5 is definitely a different stage. We've got Cayenne to Cayenne. I think that's how you pronounce it. We've got the first time trial of this Tour de France on stage 5. So once again, a week 1 time trial, and Pogacar in the past was pretty good at week 1 time trials, that's for sure. But this one is basically flat, is how you'd say. Like, it's not like pannenkoek flat. It's not like pancake flat. But I'd argue it's as flat as a modern time trial is going to be in a Grand Tour for 33 kilometers. And on paper, Remco Evenepoel is the favorite of the GC riders on a parkour like this. Certainly. Then you got the names of Tarling, Gunna, and so forth. So those riders will come and check for a time trial like this. But also the question, do you think there's a possibility after these 4 stages where rider X and rider that, who do you think is in the yellow jersey after this time trial? Is it potentially Remco Evenepoel after this time trial?
I think Van Aert's got to go for it, no?
Yeah, too. You're right.
Because like Remco should beat him in the TT, but how much by? And so if he takes some bonies in the first few stages, because Pedersen, I'm not on a 33k TT. I don't think he can take enough bonies in the first few stages to make up for what Remco is going to put in him in the TT. Poggy, again, like Poggy, say he doesn't win, but he can podium definitely 2 of those sprints and say that now he's on 10 seconds and then Remco, I don't know. So Poggy's in play. So for sure. But I think probably Remco be the favorite. Do they send Ghana? Who else is good at TT?
Well, I mentioned Tarling, but outside of that, which time trialists exist on this planet? Oh, come on, Stefan Bissiger.
But it's a long TT, 33Ks. I mean, we don't really know how hilly it is yet. I would say this is a good... I mean, Roglic is an excellent time trial rider. We saw in the TT this year in the Tour de France, assuming all the big 4 guys go, the first TT wasn't as long as this. It did have a climb in it. Just trying to bring it up. That was 25Ks, 28 minutes. The gaps were 25 seconds Pogacar to Roglic and Vingegaard more or less, and Remco beat him by 12. I would say Remco's in yellow after this. I don't think the others can take enough bonies
unless he loses time on one of the puncher stages somehow, which I'd be a bit surprised,
I think
but
he wins
not
it
impossible.
Too.
But also, on top of that, I also have the thing where a time trial like this, it kind of helps the big 4 GC riders, no? Compared to the outsiders when it comes to climbing GC riders, because you've got the Carapazes, Masses, Carlos Rodriguez of the world. Those riders will lose time on a 33-kilometer time trial. So it's really, that's going to be the initial gap already, putting GC in a spot where it's probably going to stay for the rest of the Grand Tour, where it's going to be between those big guns, hopefully. Hopefully they all arrive safely at the start of this race. But anyway,
like that Pablo Torres.
Yeah, well, I don't think he's going to the Tour de France next year, so I don't think we need to worry. Because you said it. The Vuelta is the first one to start, my friend, for the babies.
I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me.
Stage 6.
Yeah, stage 6 is from Bayeux to Ville-Normand, which is Normandy, which is again a puncher. This is again a puncher / versatile sprinter stage. We conveniently have it's hilly, 200 plus kilometers. We have the final 15k profile. Not as difficult as stage 4 or 2 though, but still difficult. Yeah. We have a little roller at 12Ks to go. At 6Ks to go, we have a 1200 meter 7% punch, which is pretty difficult with I don't know if the entry is a dead start like the others, but it's steep at the start, then levels off a bit. Then short descent of a K.5, then a K of flat, and then a 700 meter 10% punch. Now, this is the ASO profiles, so I like to see the Flamme Rouge ones first. Sometimes the gradients have been beefed up a little bit, and it ends up being 1K at 5%, which is very very different to 700 meters. You know, but it's steep at the end. Now, this one Poggy can win because it finishes steep, very steep, but also Van der Poel. So this one is really a puncher finish, not a versatile sprint finish.
But saying Pogacar can win would indicate that his team will have to fight for positioning for Pogacar in these last 10 kilometers against teams that are going to be setting up their versatile sprinters like Pedersen and so forth. So that is an extra risk, you know?
Exactly, yeah. But you got Wellens, you know, so it's not a panic, you know, he can really position you well for these stages.
Do you know any other words?
No, not really. That's my Dutch word of the day. I'm learning.
Of the day, you said it more than the average Australian word you usually say.
I'm learning
I haven't
one
heard
word
quokka
per
out of
day.
your mouth as much.
I saw him today.
The quokka.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, this is another just versatile sprint stage. No breakaway bench. I mean, who's going to control? I don't see how any breakaway's got a chance because Deli, Lotto going to lock this down for Deli. Intermarché for Binny, Trek for Milan or Naes or Pedersen. There's too many teams who are not here for GC who are only going to be here for these uphill sort of sprints. Even Alpecin for Van der Poel or Philipsen, which is tricky for the green jersey, actually, the two combination there. But yeah, there's just no break chance here. So on to the next stage, Benny, stage 7.
Muur de Bretagne is back. It's been a stage that has been featured in this race a few times. You might remember, I think, Viermoz winning on it in maybe 2011, 2012, 2013 region. But probably a bit later than that, actually. But I think Dan Martin was also competitive on this in the past, but most recently, I think Mathieu van der Poel was the winner on the stage after attacking on the first Muur de Bretagne, which is again featured 17 kilometers from the finish line, first Muur de Bretagne, and at the finish, second Muur de Bretagne. And last time Van der Poel attacked on the first one, took him, if I recall correctly, the bonus seconds on the second last climb, so he could get into the yellow jersey if he won on the final Muur de Bretagne. Was that it?
Yes, right. He had to get into the yellow, he had to go on the first one.
That was a pretty legendary victory, to be honest, in the memory of his of Polidor. But anyway, we've got a pretty good puncher stage once again. But wouldn't you say, like, Muur de Bretagne, 2 kilometers, 6.9%, but it's really that first kilometer that is the hardest, and the last kilometer is kind of the gradual flattening out towards the finish line, is how I'd argue, because that first kilometer has like a 15% segment in it. So that's where we saw that Viermoz attack when he won this stage in the past, if I recall. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to see this stage happen. But last time with Van der Poel, didn't he just attack on that steep part and nobody saw him again? I feel like it's going to be a much closer battle this year.
Yeah, that's what happened. And Colbrelli, I think, attacked first. Even Nairo attacked.
Yes.
So it's but this is what I mean again with this is very different, this sort of finish and this stage, to if you do 10 repetitions of Muur de Bretagne and it's a 270k classic. So the sub 200k stage and the lack of reps early, I also think breakaway can't win. No chance. No. Actually, if Van der Poel doesn't do it, then you kind of, if you're EF, if you're Arkea, you do need to go on the break. So maybe there is a decent break battle there, but most likely no chance. Stage 8.
Before you go, importantly to mention, last time we mentioned that Mathieu van der Poel attacked on the first of the 2 Muur de Bretagne to get that yellow jersey. But according to Prudhomme in the presentation, there's no bonus seconds on climbs this year.
Correct.
Who does that benefit if we take a look at the big GC riders? Because we had fights in, was it on Jouplan in 2022, for example, with then the motorbike, or was it the spectators or something that caused an upset for Pogacar when he was trying to attack early? They were 1v1ing on climbs to get those bonus seconds at the top. If that's not the case, then that's, I think, a net negative for Pogacar, a little bit at least.
Yes. The next stage is from Saint-Maine-le-Grand to Laval-Espace-Mayenne. Benji mentioned Pogacar's stage week 1 TT in 2021 that actually finished in Laval-Espace-Mayenne, which is a space station? Well, I don't know what it is. Anyway, this is a flat sprint stage. Christian Prudhomme's commentary says it's sheltered from the wind. We have no stage profile, but he says the finish line comes at the end of a kilometer-long rising false flat. So again, Binny, Deli, Pedersen, Van Aert have a little bit of an advantage, although Philipsen's not too bad either. But it's really not a good route for Groenewegen, Jacobsen, Welsford type operators. Stage 9, Benji.
Yeah, stage 9 is Chinon to Châteauroux. And I'd argue this is probably going to be once again a sprint stage. It's It looks like a sprint stage. It quacks like a sprint stage. It's not a duck. It's going to be a sprint stage. And this is where Cavendish won, right?
There's Avenue Cavendish here.
What, sorry?
There's a place called the finish straight's called Avenue Cavendish.
Okay.
It's in the press kit.
To be fair, he deserves it. He's won there multiple times over his career, so
ASO,
might as well.
They pay like, I don't know, pay Astana half of Cav's salary for him to keep trucking along.
Why not? To be honest, at this point, it's might be worth it for the race. But anyway,
one wrinkle.
I'm actually.
Oh yeah.
Oh, one wrinkle. What do you mean?
Not for this stage. I was going to move on to stage 10.
Yeah.
But there's a wrinkle in that the first rest day comes after stage 10. So stage 10 is on, this is really throwing me, but stage 10 is on the Monday. So there's no Monday first rest day. So the 14th of July, and that's because the 14th of July would have been the rest day, and that's Bastille Day. So they're making the 14th of July, which is a public holiday in France, and also not called Bastille Day in France. That's stage 10. So, but they have made this, let me find the profile. They have made this medium mountain deluxe. So if I see where we've moved down to, so we're now down in, this is the massive Central stage. So 14 July, heat, we're in the middle of France, no wind, in the massive Central, heavy roads, tired. 10 days long, fighting all week. Of course, no mountains yet. We've had not even a 5K, 7% uphill finish. We've not had a Planche de Belfi, but still they'll be tired. And this is 163 kilometers long from the ASO profile, and it's hilly all day. We're talking 4K. I don't know if Benji calls this hills or medium mountains. Maybe just massive Central.
Combination.
Yeah, it's just massive Central, isn't it? And it's like, 5K, 7%.
Moves into medium mountains. But before you continue, when I look at this parkour, the first thought that comes into mind is hard to control breakaway, and a GC rider will try to slip in.
Yeah, that's it. That has to be it. Especially as the GC rider should still be close now. Like, of course, Enrique Mas will have lost a bit of time in the TT. Of course, there's the punchy stages, but they should still be reasonably close to each other, especially the big four guys. And maybe Almeida will be very close. Jorgensen should be very close. The second tier guys, Hindley or Vlasov should be very close. So this is that sort of stage where it could all open up. And then we have the hardest climb by gradient is the final one, which comes at the end of a descent. And finishes actually at 1,300 meters. And that's the Puy de Sancy, 3.3Ks, 8% average. Pretty regular. There's a 12% pinch at the start, but it's pretty much 8% the whole way. I don't know how narrow it is. And could be a breakaway stage. But that's what we thought of stage 11 this year, Benji, and ended up being a GC stage. I think. Do we normally do stage winners? No, we don't normally do stage winners anymore for these.
We don't. I think we did last year or the year before, and then we decided that was a stupid idea because when the race came along, half of them weren't competing. So I think we don't need to do it, my friend. Where are we?
Romain Gregoire.
Really? You're going for a stage winner?
Just for this one.
Okay. So stage 11. You got Romain Gregoire.
No, stage 10. Stage 10, Romain Gregoire. He's got to make it. And then we have the first rest day. So this should be an absolute cracker. And it's not so hard, Benji, that the GC guys can just ride the whole peloton off their wheel. Like, they're not that hard. It's also not that. The only...
Ben Healy.
Oh, that's a better pick than Gregoire. My only gripe with it, Benji, is it's short.
Yeah.
You make it 211, but then maybe it becomes too GC focused. I don't know.
True. I like it a lot. I'm not complaining. I like the stage. Medium mountain / hilly parkour. I need to classify it properly. Otherwise, Patrick will haunt me for the rest of the 2025 season. So hilly / medium mountain stage coming on this stage. And I think this might be one of the more entertaining stages of the first 10. This should be an absolute banger if the breakaway battle is as hardcore as I expect it to be. We go to the rest day. we nap a little bit, and we come back, and we've got stage 11 from Toulouse to Toulouse. I feel like, sorry, I'd like to report something to the podcaster union. I feel like I've been unfairly treated by getting all the boring stages in the list. I've
well, no, but that's the question I had for you.
Azo didn't even bother getting a profile for the ones that I had. I had to look at the other profiles.
But that's like the week 1. Does it have enough in it?
Oh, I think it is. I think those Sponcher stages, I will enjoy them.
Do you think it needed, though, a cobble stage in the north? Like, why go to Dunkirk and Lille not to do cobbles?
Yeah, but then we're going to have to be quacking again for an entire episode about, oh, what do you think about cobblestones being present in the Tour de France's first week?
Lefebvre's going to be like, this is bullshit.
I can't handle it anymore. It's too much. But I think there's enough balance between sprints and puncher and potential GC fights on those puncher stages, combined with this 10th stage. Then I'm okay with this first 10 days. Maybe there's one stage where I might be okay. I'm tuning out for the first 90% of the stage, but we know what's coming afterwards. And I think that's important. And it's also important after 2024, where Pogacar dominated the race, that the race isn't decided too early either. Because that's also a danger, you know? Yes, potentially Vingegaard can compete with Pogacar next season, but if he can't, then ASO must make it so that the race isn't boring after stage 10, you know?
Like the women's routes they used to do with Van Vleuten.
I'd argue this year is also a bit backloaded of the women's race.
So. Yeah. So Benji's, stage 11 is a sprint. There are a couple of hills in Toulouse, and it'll be a sprint.
Completely ignored the stage, just ranted.
Yeah. Stage 12 is the first mountain stage, and we're in the Pyrenees now from Auch, sounds German almost, to Altercam, 181 Ks, 120 Ks of rolling hills beforehand. So this reminds me a lot of the Peyragudes stage in 2022. Because they have the Col du Soulard, which is 12k 7%, short medium descent, then straight into the Col des Bordères, which is 3k 7.6%, then about 20k's of this up and down descent before the Altercam, 14k's 8%, which is a reasonably hard climb. It does have some pinches in it, so it's a bit more irregular than perhaps the climbs this year. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those Ks are over 9%. Oh, no, they're not. Yeah. Oh, yeah, they are. And there's 2 Ks at about 11% in the middle, according to ASO. This is where Vingegaard dropped Pogacar in 2022, but that was a different stage. Pogacar was behind. He attacked on Spandel. He crashed on the descent of Spandel. Yeah. And to be honest, this looks like a very, very, very good stage for Pogacar. When you look and compare this to the Pla d'Ardèche stage, this looks very good for him.
I think so as well. 3,800 altitude meters, but let's be honest about it, it's all in the last 60 kilometers. So the first 120 kilometers is that run in towards those climbs. And I'm actually surprised they fit 3,800 altitude meters in that final 60
Well, no, but that's why I don't think
kilometers.
It all is in the back end. I think the start is hillier than you think.
Okay. But anyway, I expect some fireworks, but it's also the kind of stage where Soulard, I see that as an attrition climb. I don't expect attacks on Soulard. I think the action comes on Hautacam itself, which
I
think that's an obvious one looking at the parkour.
Poggy to win.
Exactly. Oh, we've got a stage that is not boring. Stage 13, we've got a mountain time trial on Peyragudes. You might remember Peyragudes as the stage where, first of all, Pogacar won here 1v1 against Vingegaard in 2022.
Yeah.
After they resurrected
special
themselves.
Stage.
Yeah, the McNuggets and Biarritz special.
Yeah.
And we've got, I think Bardet won here in 2018, 2017 against Aru when Chris Froome was cracking in the background on the last very steep segment of this. I don't think they'll be climbing. To be clear, 11 kilometers, of which 8 is uphill, and I don't have the Peyragudes gradients in front of me, so you're going to have to help me here for a second.
They're steep. There's like 2 kilometers that are, they've not put the actual... Peyragudes 8K is 8% with like 16% pinches in it. They're going to start on a road bike, right?
I think so as well.
I actually not sure they will.
Dumoulin would ride it on a time trial bike.
Vingegaard might do this whole thing on TT bike.
No. I don't think he will. Well, UAE definitely won't do this on a.
But do you
This is a map.
start?
This is a
Do you
road bike.
start? There's still 4Ks though, a flat. How long's the change? 10 seconds?
Oh, I'd have to go back and count how long the changes
The
usually are.
TT
but
bike is going to be quick,
10
more than
seconds
10
is-
seconds quicker on 4Ks.
I think so too.
Especially as Vingegaard would have to change to the. Well, does he change to R5 or does he start? Can we bring back the triathlon extensions? They should both start on their aero road bikes with the triathlete TT extensions and not do a change. That is
Yeah.
the optimal.
Do you think it's good that the race opens up the opportunity for potentially using a TT bike and teams will have to science it out whether it's a good idea, or should they just have started the bloody time trial at the foot of the climb?
No, I think mountain TTs is always better. It makes it much more interesting to have flat before. I would even like another. If there was 2 more Ks of flat, they would for sure start on TT bike. But
This climb is too steep for Vingegaard to do the entire climb on the time
No,
trial.
no.
That's for sure.
they will change. They will for
think
sure
so, too.
change because Domorcy was 2Ks 10%, but then
Yeah.
like 3%. So, but it's what do you start on is the interesting thing.
Which teams will start on a road bike? Has to be some team,
Giulio
right?
Ciccone is going to start on a road bike. I'm telling you that right now. What do you think's the outcome here?
Ooh.
This is Vingegaard's best chance to win a stage.
Because if we look at the past, we're talking, what is the weight of the bike of UAE when it comes to time trial? That won't come into play because on paper, they won't be climbing on a time trial bike on this actual climb. Yes, the time trial bike of UAE is seemingly better on flat segments right now versus Visma. So on maybe the first 4 kilometers, that's a slight benefit bike-wise. But when it comes to the final climb, 8 kilometers is like perfect length for Pogacar as well, though. And it's fresh. Ooh,
It'll be close.
I can't tell you.
It'll be close.
I think it's Pogacar.
Probably. I think it's an advantage to Pogacar that is very clearly a road bike climb TT because
Is there anyone that will do this climb on a time trial bike?
no, but
Outside of Dumoulin.
but if it was like 3Ks 8% and then you do a descent and then you keep going, not that he climbed slowly on the TT bike in Nice this year, but that was like shallow climbing. But this is going to be I can't wait to see this stage. This is going to be really, really. I mean, we're also Roglic, but I don't see Roglic and Remco on
How
the same
much-
as the other two.
Can you lose on this climb?
That's also the question. So 8Ks 8%, 24Ks an hour, 20-minute climb. They do the
Between the
first
big ones, half a
4Ks at
minute?
55, so it's 25-minute TT. Yeah, you can lose 30 seconds, no problem.
Yeah, I think Pogacar, Jonas difference 30 seconds ish.
Yeah.
I think Roglic, Evenepoel can lose a minute plus on this. Worst case.
Yeah. Like those guys, they're going to do some. The numbers on this climb is going to be stupid. I think Matthew Ricciardello from the off the top rope to beat them all. Viva
He would be
America.
good on this.
Yeah, he would.
But not
It's a
winning
great.
good.
It's a great TT for Ricciardello.
But I
Stage
think Pogacar's
14
better.
is.
Hot take.
I don't know. Election year. Let's see. 20.
If you could sign Pogacar for 250k or Ricciardello, who would you sign?
Do I have? Can I get Amazon or Walmart to then? If I can get a bonus for a Tour de France top 10 from Amazon or Walmart co-sponsor, then I'll go Ricciardello. If not,
Dumbest
okay,
question ever asked.
Poggy's pretty good. Stage 14 from Pau, which always has to have a stage, to Le Champ Super Bannière, which there's a lot of hype about. I don't know. Is it like historical? I'm showing my ignorance, of course. 183 kilometers long. 4 decent climbs. The 70Ks are flat before the Tourmalet, 20Ks at 7%, up to, it's the Souvenir Jacques Corday, of course, up there. Then the descent. Really no valleys, not too much valley here. They then do the Col d'Aspin, which is it's technically 5K 7.6%, but actually they climb. It's really a 13K climb, although there's a highway where the big boys will be climbing there for the first half of it. Another descent falls flat for about 11 kilometers for the Col de Peressud. 7K is 8%, which Poggy danced away from everybody in 2020. Then another descent. I think he won there in Bonnier de Luchon. No? On that stage in stage 9.
Correct.
After he lost time stage 8 when he lost time in the crosswinds.
Roglic stage.
Yeah, that's where Roglic lost the tour of that climb. And then the descent, and then up to Luchon Super Bannière, which we have the profile. Oh, no. I don't have the profile. Oh, no, I do. What
is this?
12.5K, 7.5%. We are in the Pyrenees, so it's a little bit irregular. We do have a 10% kilometer halfway through and near to the finish. So it's, but otherwise, yeah, it's like 7.5%. So about the same as Altacam, not too high altitude. 5,000 meters climbing in the stage, very, very hard mountain stage. Could there be a raid, Benji?
Yeah, possibly, but when it comes to these kind of stages, we often just see a team taking control, making it as hard as possible every single climb, then eventually you have an attack either on Peressud or actually Super Bonnière at the finish. So I'd expect any raid to come on the first 2 stages, but I'd hope it comes earlier, of course. That being said, history hat on. 1986, my friend. Le Mans versus Hinault was the last time we had the Super Bannière finish at the Tour de France.
That's why I don't remember it. It's not my fault.
You weren't born.
It's not my fault.
Or were you?
When?
86.
No, I wasn't born. No, I wasn't.
Close though, no?
Do you know that what's your earliest memory?
My earliest memory?
Yeah.
I'm very bad when it comes to my memories as a child, so I couldn't even tell you.
I believe I have a memory from the womb. But people say it's not possible. But I believe it.
Oh my god,
like
this guy's
I
high.
have like a freeze frame in there. But apparently apparently it's not possible.
You do realize that a memory from the womb, it's probably dark in there, right? Or did you
But
leave the light on?
it's like a sensory memory.
I think my co-host has problems.
But then Mrs. Rouge says you're just ridiculous. Maybe you're remembering when your brother was being born instead when you were 5 years old, and apparently you can't have memories at 5 years old. So, but I don't have any from then. So, riddle me that.
But how would you have a memory from inside the womb of your brother being?
No, but
born?
more like when he was an infant or something. I don't even know. But yeah. 86 for sure, I don't have any memory.
I think it's something you need to delve deeper into, my friend. I think there's a story there.
Probably, yeah. Probably speak to somebody. Stage 15, Benji.
Stage 15 is from Muret to Carcassonne. It's got breakaway stage written all over it. And I just killed the tab on which the profile is at. So help me. Carcassonne. Breakaway stage. Bang Discord. Trying to open the profile again.
They didn't give us a profile.
But that's why I can't find it.
They're so shit they didn't give us one. It's Muret to Carcassonne. It's going to be a flat. What is Mr. Prudhomme says? 2,400 meters vertical gain, Benji, in less than 270 kilometers.
Izagirre, Quartz, those kind of names.
Possibility of strong crosswinds, he says. And then he says there's a 3K, 10% climb, 40Ks from the finish. I think your Malrich, Asgren, Magnus call is correct.
I didn't say Malrich, Asgren, and...
Yeah, but those type of operators.
Okay, fair. I was more looking at the slightly hilly breakaway riders, but I'll take it. Asgren riding for Jeff, rumored to be, or maybe announced, I don't remember. But
yeah,
those type of breakaway riders, I'm intrigued, but I care more about stage 16, and I'm going to steal him from you. I'm going to steal stage 16
from you. It's a shit stage, you can have it.
Montpellier. Okay. Wow. Montpellier to Mont Ventoux. I'm not sure if a length for the stage has been announced, but it's said to be a Unipuerto stage, which means that the majority of the stage is completely flat, and you basically got Mont Ventoux pasted at the end of it. 15.7 kilometers at 8.8% starting in Saint-Estève, the climb itself. So I don't know if this is actually the Bédouin version of the Mont Ventoux. I couldn't tell you from looking at the actual profile of the
between
climb,
the village of Bédouin and the observatory, 15.7 k is 9%. Yep.
Okay, 15.7 at 8.8% here. So somehow 0.2% have been robbed of this climb. But memories from this climb in the past, we had Tony Martin fighting Spanish guy. Was it on Quick Step? Juan Manuel Garate, maybe, I think. I vividly remember something like that. Froome running was Ventoux, right? And did he also win here in 2012? 2013?
2013? Yeah, 2013. Wow. Holy shit, Benji. They used to do long mountain stages? 242 kilometer Uni Puerto Mont Ventoux stage.
Jesus Christ. Out of all the stages to make 240 kilometers,
6 hour stage.
To do a Uni Puerto Mont Ventoux stage.
He put Quintana in on 30 seconds.
Mate, I was looking through old stages on Pro Cycling Stats, and I went to 1992. First at 1993 Isola, but then I was looking at 1992 Saint-Gervais to Sestriere, stage 13 of 1992, 6,500 to 6,900 altitude meters.
It actually makes no sense that stages are getting shorter. They're eating more carbohydrates and they're fueling 10 times better now. Their stages should be 350 kilometers long.
Is it the thought process that they're more entertaining to watch if they're shorter, more explosive?
I don't know. I think probably just because a 350k stage is quite expensive to televise. And
I want longer stages though. I'm not a traditionalist that says every mountain stage needs to be 200 kilometers.
You do need a 225 one.
Yeah, exactly. What if the Bagnères de Luchon stage was 240 kilometers, for example, with those 4 mountains? Sorry, but...
And the Massif Central one. The Massif Central one should be over 200 Ks. It was 211 Ks this year. It should be longer.
Complete different race.
Because it also makes it a lot harder for UAE to control the stage.
Yeah, but...
if it's another 50 Ks long.
You're right, but there's also the aspect of, I fully agree, it's harder from a team perspective, but if we then take a look at the Plateau de Bay stage of this year, the length might not have been amazing, but the amount of climbing in that stage, and those climbers still do fresh numbers on the final climb, well, does it matter then whether it's 200 kilometers of climbing before on an individual basis, if they can still do their fresh numbers anyway after fatigue?
I just think ASO's got to find a way to give a breakaway climber something. And when you have it like this design, they got no chance. And maybe they're in later stages, but if this stage at least had like one climb early to let a group get away, then maybe UAE just lock it down anyway. I don't know, but in theory, it's harder to control a longer stage if you design it for a breakaway. But that's the Mont Ventoux finish. I think it'll be interesting, Benji.
I think so as well. And I've stolen that stage, so you got to go to stage 17 now.
I've been thrown. Now you've given me a rubbish one. From, where's this? There's no profile for this. That's what they think of it. Bolène to Valence, 160 Ks. This is very similar to the Vuelta stage that Van Aert, where Sepp Kuss stage 7 this year, the Cordoba, where there's like a 5K, 6% climb, I think. And there's like winds and a few hills. So it's like a Sagan stage, but also the sprinters can make it. So it's short. Yeah, it's a sprint stage. I would say some sprinter team will try and control it.
Yeah, stage 18, Vive to Courchevel Court-la-Lose. It's back. Before I go through the stage, Court-la-Lose has been introduced less than 6 years ago, 2020. That's 5 years ago next year.
Yeah. 2020, 23, 25.
4 times, including next year, right? Because on that one stage in 2022 was twice, if I recall correctly. You had the Col de la Lose climb before the Col de la Lose to the top, right?
Like
2023?
they went to Maribel.
Is that not part of the climb? Am I inventing that, or
I'm not sure. Are you sure?
I think Meribel is halfway up or 75% up to Colalos before the steep section.
Yeah,
So
but
I guess they did one and a half.
I don't think they did it twice.
Oh, oops. Anyway, we've got Vive to Courchevel, Colalos. Have we seen Colalos too many times in the last 5 years?
I think they just had pretty good success with it.
Yeah.
But this is the other side. So this is the easy side, in theory.
I think yes. Well,
so the easier side, but still, it's from Courchevel to Loloz. It's still very hard. This is a Souvenir Henri de Grange as well. 26k, 6.5%. But Benji, what's it preceded by? Glandon.
Yeah, we've got Glandon as the first climb. I think it's also the easy side of Col du Glandon. This is not the same ascent we had in the Tour de France Femme last year, which was, if I recall, 20k at 7% roughly. This is 21.7 kilometers at 5.1% in this stage. That's in the first 85 kilometers, basically. And after that, we've got the Col de la Madeleine, another big one, 19.2 kilometers at 7.9%, followed by Courchevel Colalos, the climb you've already mentioned. So we've got loads of climbing in this stage. In total, if I count this, 22 kilometers plus 19 kilometers plus 26 kilometers, that's a whole lot of climbing. Like, that's 46, that's 66 kilometers of uphill climbing, basically, in this stage. And the amount of altitude
fake
meters,
news.
shout that.
I'm calling
5,500. Okay, 5,500 altitude meter. Well, it can be fake news, but it's not going to be the attacking climb anyway. It's an attrition climb plus breakaway launching climb on paper. So, well, his eyes are lighting up, so he's... Well, you don't have a Roglic Vingegaard combo in Visma.
They say it's 5%, but it's like there's 4Ks at like 10% or 9% halfway through. Like, it's really irregular. Yeah. It's fake newsy. Especially for the Alps, it's unusual to have a climb like this.
I thought you meant fake news as in not super hard, but you say fake news as in it's a fake news climb.
The other way, the other way. Okay. Glandon's pretty hard. It goes to nearly 2,000 meters. Madeleine, Jesus, it's hard. Like, it's just a long climb. 8% all day. La Loza, to remind you of the gradients. So this is the easier side. So it's the first 12Ks, still very hard, to Courchevel village. Then from Courchevel village to about 1,900, it's actually much easier. It's like 5% for 8Ks, so they can recover, let's say. And then it kicks off again, and then the Rampas steep section, I think, to 2,300 meters. So super hard stage. Yeah, not much more to say. Super hard high mountain stage.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
If you crack here, you're fucked. This is the big one.
If you crack the next day, you're fucked as well. Stage 19 Albertville to La Plagne. Go ahead, because I think this one's yours.
Albo, 130 Ks, and we're near we're in the Alps proper. This is a little bit more gradual, not a little bit. I think quite a lot easier. So they do an 11K 5% climb I never heard of. Then they do the Cézy 13K 6%. Not too much valley here. Then they do the Col du Pré. Actually, I lied. That's Col du Pré. I'll get to the gradients in a second of each of the climbs. 12K 7.5%. Doesn't sound that hard. Then basically a little plateau up there, a Roselon. Is this near Luke? Is this near Tignes? Yeah, it is. This is near Bourg-Saint-Maurice. So all the guys that you do altitude at Tignes, like the Roselon and everyone in the Alps will be familiar with these climbs. Then a pretty long descent, 22 Ks. Can I count? No, 32 Ks to the base of La Plagne, 19K 7.2%. That's where Marc Padun dropped everybody, and Superman Lopez got dropped by Richie Porte in the Dauphiné 21. But to now go to the gradients. So the Col du Pré, that has 4 Ks in a row at 10%. No, I lied again. I keep lying to you. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 5 Ks at 10%. Like, that is hard. That is fucking hard. And then not much rest before the Roselon. And then the La Plagne is pretty steady, but a few 9% kilometers. I don't think it's too rampassy. But again,
Marc
this is
Padun.
right. It's a 50-minute climb, I think. Maybe these guys will go 42 minutes.
Yeah.
And
Mont Ventoux record getting destroyed,
Mont
right?
Ventoux record is going to get
Mayo.
obliterated.
It's like 55 minutes, I think, 55, 51 by Iban Mayo. How much do you reckon the Ventoux record will be? I'm saying 49 minutes and 21 seconds.
Yeah, it depends on the wind conditions, of course, because it's quite exposed. But yeah, I could smoke it. Whatever those amateurs did on Super Bannière de Luchon, forget about it in the 80s. Forget about it.
Jesus.
But you're right, Benji. This is like, is this the hardest stage pairing we've ever covered in the tour?
Oh,
I think it is.
I don't know. It might be, but
I think it is.
I don't remember. I'm going to follow you just because I trust you, because we've had such a long-term work relationship that I feel like your words are very viable. So I will say yes. Anyway,
put in the comments any in the last 5 years a harder stage pairing in the tour.
I've got one for you. Stage 20 and stage 21 of this Tour de France 2025 are super hard. We've got stage 20 Nantua to Pontarlier, a final week breakaway stage.
Yeah, this is the little. Here you go, fellas. 50 rouleurs in the break. Good luck to you.
It's the ruler Hunger Games have begun.
Yeah, it
stage
is.
20. So Asgreen versus Pascaline, Korn versus Jonas Abrahamsen is going to win this stage.
Voxnor.
Actually, will Yonex get a wild card?
That's the question, Benji. Tudor will be like, why did you put all these punchy stages in week 1 if not for our French puncher?
Fair. The return of Julien Alaphilippe.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But he'll have to do the Giro. But yeah, it's I like that they've put the 2 mountain stages back to back. I like that they've done it like that. Then stage 21, we have the Champs-Élysées, the sprint, 117K is the ceremony stage. So the sprint, I'm going to say stage 20 is not a sprint. So in the last 2 weeks, we have we have stage 15 could be a sprint, could be tricky to control. And then stage 11, so there's 3 sprints in the last 2 weeks of the race, and 2 of them could very well go to the breakaway.
Yep, I agree.
Tough for the pure sprinters.
It's tough, but they might get a yellow jersey stop, so they can stop whining.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the route, Benji. My general feeling is well, first of all, what do you notice the lack of? No descent finishes.
Correct. I like that.
So I do like that. I do like that. I like the return of the punchy stages. I like the...
Enough time trial?
No.
Okay.
I think there's not enough.
Enough
I would
kilometers
prefer...
in mountain stages?
You mean in the TT? I think that the stage 13 TT should have 20 Ks of flat before it.
Okay.
Like the Planche de Belfi TT.
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then you'd also have a longer segment on the TT bike.
Yeah.
So
I think it's better.
I would prefer that as well. I also think that I would have liked to see a bit longer mountain stages. I'm turning into a cycling traditionalist. It's horrible. But anyway, I do feel like I'm not blown away by the parkour. I still think it's a pretty damn solid Tour de France parkour. I think we're going to see good racing on this. But it's like, yeah, I don't know. But the riders will have to make the race.
But if there is one dominant climber with a strong team, then you've got basically stage 12, 14, 13, 18, 19, 16.
You can cook.
Yeah, you can cook. That being said, Poggy won 6 stages this year. He just had it more spread out. So,
yep.
Yeah, I think it's I don't think it is a bad route for Pogacar versus Jonas. I don't look at any stage and then be like, there's this. But I think it's as good a route as Vingegaard could have hoped for.
I agree. is it a coincidence that we have the removal of the bonus seconds plus Ventoux, where Jonas Vingegaard dropped Pogacar, plus Cor Vos, where Jonas Vingegaard dropped Pogacar in one Tour de France?
And Autocam.
And Autocam, where, oh God, I think the coincidences are stacking up here.
Yeah, except probably on Autocam, Poggy will win. Oh, that's the so Poggy is not going to be stopped on that stage.
I think so as well.
So, whatever the bad memories might be.
On paper, even on the other climbs, Pogacar is the favorite, but that all depends on with what form they arrive at this race.
Exactly.
Is Pogacar going to be the same as he was this year? Is Vingegaard going to be better than this year without any issues in his preparation towards the Tour de France? Guess we'll find out next year. But overall, I'm quite happy with this parkour. I think it's rather balanced. Yes, it's quite backloaded in terms of the first week not having mountain stages, but I don't mind that, to be honest. We've got Puncher stage instead, which was missing last year.
I think the main difference to this year's race is that the last 3 mountaintop finishes are quite a bit longer. So Autocam is very similar to Plat d'Ardèche and Plateau de Bay, particularly yes. Plateau de Bay. Autocam is very similar, but the Ventoux, Col de la Loze, and La Plagne are quite a bit longer. So they're climbing 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes longer. So they are more, just longer climbs to finish. Galibier was 20 minutes, the real climb. Yep. What else? What other stage? Plat d'Ardèche was 20 minutes and then leveled off. Isola
2000?
Isola wasn't that long, 35, 37 minutes maybe.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, they're doing it faster and faster. So
by
2030, it's going to be like a 20-minute climb.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's going to be a pretty good route. Who is looking at this route and thinking, it's the Barradours, Benji. It's not much for them. The breakaway guys.
They've got 2 potential breakaway stages in the last week. I think it's been replaced by Puncher stages, personally. I think stage 10 is also going to be a breakaway stage at Le Mont d'Or, so they've got 3 there, but I still think there's quite a few lacking in this parkour for them. But then again, like, that's how the wheel turns, and instead we've got Puncher stages now, which I'm honestly quite okay with, because a lot of Barradours are also Punchers.
Yeah, like Romain Gregoire, for example. But the problem is Pogacar is a better puncher, or Van der Poel than the sort of guys who are just good at that discipline. I'll also say the only way to get a mountain stage breakaway is if you put a mountain really, really far from the finish.
Yes, and it's long.
And then have a flat finish.
Oh.
Like some of the Giro ridiculous stages we've seen.
Like the Magnus Kort Valgren, I don't know, was it Magnus Kort or Valgren that won a mountain stage in similar fashion when he was riding for Astana in maybe the 2018 days?
Yeah. All right, time to rate the route out of 10, Benji. First reactions.
Oh, God. I'm going to go with... I'm honestly leaning towards a 7.8.
I'm going to go with an 8 because yes, there's no cobble stage or gravel. I don't like it when they're like put stages in and it has to be a good week if there's certain weather conditions like wind, and then there might not be. Here it's like the Puncher stages will be good. The mountain stages should be good. I think I'm giving it an 8.
I wish there was more than one medium mountain stage.
That's what, I really, especially with the success of those stages, like, and it should be longer, that stage on Bastille Day.
Like, it's not a medium mountain necessarily, but what if stage 20, Nantes-Pontarlier was, for example, it's in the same region. We had it in the Dauphiné, the combination with La Plagne on day 19, after Cor de la Loze on day 18, and on day 20 we do the combination of Ramaz and Jouplan. That'd be a good trio, but maybe that's a bit overkill.
I don't like the stage 20. So like of like 2023, that Alsace stage.
What was that again?
Because when you have another mountain, La Markstein. Because when you have another mountain stage, that's not the hardest of the 3 weeks, and you've had hard mountain stages. All that will happen, there will not actually be a GC change in position, because the dominant GC rider will already be in place. So it's like, the Cuyol stage changed nothing in the end this year.
Yeah, but also the Cuyol stage, parkour-wise, I'm sorry, but it's kind of an attrition before a final climb stage. I want a medium mountain stage on that final stage.
Yeah, true. And then I like those
Or the Hail
Ramaz and those
Marys.
climbs. The Hail Marys. Like we saw the Vuelta stage 20 this year. What a stage.
Plateau de Glières, that kind of stage.
Oh, yeah, that was good. And the Dauphiné Glières was good again. Well, not really. Not from far. Okay, that's the route. We're both pretty happy with it, but it all depends, of course, on the riders that come. We are most of all. It doesn't matter what the route really is. What we really need for entertainment is top shape of Vingegaard, Roglic, Pogacar, and Remco, and that's going to provide the entertainment. So we're fingers crossed we have those 4 guys. Maybe someone else pops up. Maybe Lennart van Eefeld is there. Who knows? But hoping the big 4 arrive healthy, happy, and motivated and in good shape.